13th lesson, The World of Life. Before going to the lesson, we will discuss some facts about this lesson. The life on the earth has been originated about 3.6 billion years ago, and up to today there have been 8.7 millions of organisms discovered by the scientists. So this confirms that the earth has a higher biodiversity. So the scientists have introduced modern classification methods to classify these organisms. Now let's talk about classification. Classification. The simple meaning of classification is grouping of organisms into different levels based on their common characteristics. First, when we are talking about classification, the classification can be divided into two groups as natural classification and artificial classification. When we are talking about the artificial classification depicts only the characteristics of organisms like presence or absence of appendages and habitats. When we compare this to the natural classification, the natural classification depicts only the evolutionary characteristics of organisms. So when we compare the difference between them, the natural classification is the correct method to classify these organisms. When we are talking about the classification of methods, the natural classification and the artificial classification was introduced by the biologist Carolus Linnaeus, who is known to be as the father of classification. When we are grouping organisms, according to this classification, there are three domain systems of grouping these organisms. The scientist Carl Boyce has introduced this three-domain classification. When we are talking about the three-domain systems of classification, they are divided into three parts as domain Archaea, domain Bacteria, and domain Eukarya. When we are talking about the domain Archaea, the organisms belong to this group are prokaryotes. It means the organisms without an organized nucleus. And these organisms have the ability to live in extreme environmental conditions. The other important fact about these organisms are they are not sensitive to antibiotics. Then let's talk about domain Bacteria. The organisms belong to this group are also prokaryotes, and these organisms are distributed in all over the world. The other important fact about these organisms is that they are sensitive to antibiotics and sometimes they can be pathogenic to us. The domain Eukarya. We will discuss about the domain Eukarya for my next video, and we will meet from the next video. Thank you.